Welcome everybody, thank you for tuning in. If you could subscribe to my channel, that would be fantastic. I'm going to be doing a few more 12 by 12 scrapbook layouts using Stampin'Up products. I've cased this from a lady called Narelle, who is a Stampin'Up demonstrator, and she put her page up on our scrapbook demonstrators page, and thank you Narelle for sharing. I've added a few of my own components. So I've used the papers, have come from the Pressed Petals Specialty Design Series paper, which I absolutely love, and I've done a lot of pages using this. You get, let me just quickly show you, you get some beautiful designs, and they're double-sided. Yeah. And then you can go on to the back, and I've used the washi tape flowers, which are little petals that you put together, and I shall put one together just to demonstrate that, and that's on page 73 of our current 2019 to 2020 catalogue. The label here is cut out using the Label Me Fancy punch, and I've put a little hole in it here using the little hole here, and you can also do the line across, which is great. So that's quite a good punch, and you can see it here. That's it. I've used the linen thread to tie. I've used the Pearl Basic Jewels to go around the page, but also to put in the daisies. And I've used in here, you see these furry ones, they're really cool. And they are the Perennial Essence Floral Centres, which are pretty cool. And I've got one left to show you how to do those. Now, what else is on here? So the leaves here are cut out using the, which one did I get it out of? This one. So this is the Poppy Moments dies, where I've taken the flowers out of here, and didn't use that one in the end. And I'm using the stamp set Daisy Lane to make the daisies, and to use the sentiment. And then you'll see the bit of fuzzy cutting here, and this strip here and here, this nice strip along here, so you can use it to, as I've done, in short pieces, or you can put a whole length across on your projects. Also, the stamp set also uses this fern, which you can see in the background here. So shall we get started? So I take another sheet, and I've got my photo of me, and I've backed it with Night of Navy cardstock. The cardstock is 6 1/8 by 4 1/8, because I'm using a 6 by 4 photo. And then I've cut the pieces to go at the back 6 by 4, and that goes straight in there. And this is 6 by 4, and that goes over there. What I'd like to do is a dry run with everything before I start, so that you can sort of use your pencil then to mark where you're going to stamp the ferns. So I know there's a fern's going to go here, ferns here, and ferns here, and I like to mark that up so I get there. So what I do now is I'm going to put this with the glue. I do use the tape runner, but I do like the glue because I'm not very good at lining things up. Excuse my head. And I'm not very good at getting straight lines, so the glue gives you a bit of wiggle room, as we say. There we go. Right, so that's ready there. Now, let me talk you through making some of these flowers. So these are the washi flowers, and the best way to do it is using your hand. So I've used 5 petals in each of mine, and it is a bit, the reason I've done the others is it is a little bit of a slowish process, and I didn't really want to speed it up because I think it's quite nice to watch. Go. Now, for those of you on lockdown in your countries, we are in lockdown here in New Zealand, so unfortunately I didn't bring my Stampin'Up sheets to go underneath my filming, so that's why I haven't got my Stampin'Up sheet underneath me. but I did bring quite a lot of my Stampin' Up from the office to bring home so I could work from home. So you've put all the petals together. Then what you want to do is get your embossing buddy, and with your embossing buddy just wipe round the sticky. This will take the sticky out of it and will allow you to then, this way, there we go. It will allow you then to mold it into a shape. And I like to do it that way. So now what you have is a molded, still a bit sticky. Let's do it this way. I did it on the white sheet before, but I need you to see what I'm doing. There we go. Okay. There we are. And then once you've done that, you then take your little furry embellishment here and pop them in the middle, and there you have a little flower. I've got a number of flowers already made, so I'm going to put this to one side a minute and I'm going to go on to the next element, which is the leaves. So I have the leaves here, but I'll just show you how I did them. So I took my Big Shot and I cut strips of Mossy Meadow cardstock, and for the 2 pages I cut, I think 50, I think I worked it out at, and so what I do is I do one that way and then I go this way, and I get between those leaves there, can get a few more out that way. So what I did here is I've taken Daffodil Delight ink and Daffodil Delight paper. Now the thing you want to do is work out the best way of stamping so that you can cut along this way. So when you stamp, try and stamp upright. I sort of do them all odd, and then I've realised that if you stamp them all the same way, it works much better. So now, if this has worked well, it should work. 1, 2. Anyway, carrying on, I've got some glue dots here, and this is how I like to put them together. So I take the 2 patterned coloured ones, and put a glue dot on the back and a plain one. And the next 2 coloured ones and a plain one. So then I put them on top of each other, sort of mixed around, and then into the hand. There we go, that's one. I think the daisy set actually has probably been my most used for classes and cards and things. What did I do with that? Now I did have, there it is, I did have, now this is my dark Daffodil Delight, and what I did was I just put a few little dots in the centre. And most of this will be covered up by the bling that you put in later. I just put a few dots in there just to make it a bit darker in the middle. Cool. Okay, so those are our daisies done. Oh, here we go. Right, I'm going to put daisy here, daisy down here, some flowers here, some things there, flower over here, my label over here, and okay, so we've also got the strip that I've cut off. I'm not sure if I might actually use this one for down here, so I've got a bit left over from before, so I'm going to use that for down here, just to give it a bit more something. Right, okay, so that's sort of where I'm at. My pencil lines are still there, so that looks about right. So I'm going to move everything to the side, sort of where it is, and I'm going to stamp on, I can leave those there, stamp on my leaves. So I'm using Mossy Meadow, And I've used Mossy Meadow for the leaves too, which I've cut out. And just 2 or 3 in each circle on the leaves. Don't worry if you go over, because some of this will be covered. Just a couple there. Okay, happy with that. So again, I take out my chamois and put my ink away, and now I can start building. Okay. Cool. Right. I'm quite like what I see there, so I'm going to now stick those down roughly where they are. Sometimes I've done this layout, now this is my second time doing this layout, but if it's the first time you're doing the layout and you really want to be, you put it all out and then you take it all off. Some people take a photograph so that they don't lose where it goes. Oh, look at that beautiful paper there. It's always a shame, and it's always hard to decide which side you use, but that is such cool paper. I've made quite a number of cards using it. So, go. Yep. And I've got it crooked again. I'm not used to, obviously doing it in front of a camera, even though I know that there is nobody watching me do it. It does feel like people are watching me do it, because obviously I'm going to put it on camera and people are going to watch it. Oh wow. Shouldn't have spoken. Okay, there we go, there we go. Okay, all right. So if it is crooked, it's supposed to be crooked. It's part of the scrapbook beauty, and I've done the same thing that I did last time, which was to stick this corner down. What I did last time was, I thought when I was doing it, oh, don't forget, don't put that corner down because you want to put your leaves in. And what happens? I've done the same thing again. So hopefully you'll remember in time. So you're adding your leaves underneath. The bottom corner you've got a bit more room because you sort of do it a bit further out, but up here you want it quite close in. And perfect. And I'm going to put one more in there. And then just put a little bit of glue under there just to hold that down. So this glue goes off quite quick, it's quite nice. But what I always have handy is a wet wipe, because you do get a bit gluey. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to put the leaves down this end, because if you put the leaves on first, it does help, because then you can cover any errors, or leaves always look better when they're behind the flowers. So by putting them down, it works a bit better. Okay. So I think you'll see I've got some leaves on the photograph there, but I've still got an element that I want to put down here, which on the other one was the was some flowers cut out, but I've got a different one to cut out, so I'm going to do that in a minute. So let's now put this leaf down. It's just that I like to do a lot of the sticky gluing and then clean my hands off to then do finishing touches, because there's nothing worse than trying to put bling on something and you're sticky. So I try and do this bit, because yet again I've got glue everywhere. There we go. Oh, see, it's sticking to me. Ah. glue is. I thought I had a bit left in it, but it was used in a class, one of my last classes before we went into lockdown, and I was teaching some cognitive behaviour therapy skills to a group of women, and we made some great cards together while we were learning about thought processes, and we've used a bit of glue. So all that glue down there. I was going to put dimensionals under this, but chose not to because it's raised enough, and it is for a scrapbook, so when you do scrapbooks it's better not to have too much raised. Okay, right, okay, so I'm going to wipe off my hands and do a bit on camera. So what I have decided with fussy cutting is that fussy cutting is just that. You fussy cut around a design that you like to raise. Sometimes it'll be you add a dimension to your scrapbook page by adding another design from the same sheet of paper on top to make it sort of 3D. Other times like this you add an element to your page. But fussy cutting, I find it's really quite therapeutically straightforward, and I turn my paper to cut. I don't worry too much about cutting things off that are really tiny, because I figured that, you know, if they're that small they're not meant to be there. I use scissors to fussy cut. Some people use a craft knife, but I will use a craft knife if I've got to cut out the centre of something, but mainly this sort of thing I use. My fingers are still a bit sticky, but there you go. And you'll see that I've sort of left some of the bits in there because it's quite hard to get in. Now, some people will cut those out, but I find that it doesn't really change the way things work on the page. And actually it's better to have a bit of paper there, because it's you're going to raise this up and make it a bit of a feature. So you're going to want to have some paper to put your dimensionals on. I'm going to put this here because I think it offers something really nice. And then a couple of flowers around here. Flower up here maybe. And then I'm going to maybe, because that will be raised, I'm going to put one up there. Ooh, whoops. Yep. I'll put this one over here. Maybe that one. You know what? I'm not sure if I like the white on there. I prefer the other bit. So what I'm thinking is actually, let's do this. That's better. Yeah, I prefer that. That's better. I like that. I like that. Yeah. That one over there, and then this one up here. And there. Yeah. And put maybe then another one down there. There we go. So you play with it a bit, and then you're good to go. So again, we're going to put our things to one side, but I just now at this point just bring them out to the sides. Right, we want some dimensionals. So I've got the large normal Stampin' Up dimensionals. Right, there we go. There we are. So I didn't need the small ones. Okay, back with the glue. There we go. Now, final little bit is the bling, which I seem to have lost. Can't have lost it, but I think it might be on the pile over here. So I use the large gems for the center of the daisies. Now the last thing to do is take your pencil and where those lines are, just give them a rub out. I do this very last because you don't need to rub lines that you can't see, like here for instance. Just rub the ones that you can see, and also you don't smudge the ink because it's well and truly dry. It's my page finished. Lovely, and then if I bring in the other page, we've now got a matching set. And this is the matching pages. Very different from each other, but very similar, using the different cutouts. Thank you for watching, and look forward to seeing you again. Have a great day. Bye.